50 years of service for 2 local firefighters, the celebration honoring their lifelong commitment to the community. Plus, Monarch butterflies are on the move, the festival celebrating their annual migration. And Poplar Grove hosts a community market, why they're so important for startup businesses.
Live from WTVO 17, this is Eyewitness News at 5.
Good evening, I'm Blake Dietz. Thanks for joining us this evening. At the Dakota Fire Protection District, a special celebration today, recognizing 50 years of service for 2 of their firefighters. There was an open house for members of the public to come and celebrate with those who have given a lifetime of service. Eyewitness News reporter Tyler Sorensen was also there. He took part and brings us along.
On a quiet street in Dakota, Illinois, was a celebration for 2 special members of the Dakota Fire Protection District, Bill Small and Jim Bordner. Both Jim and Bill started for similar yet different reasoning, wanting to help the people of Dakota, and with the fire district being fully volunteer, there was no better way to help.
I thought how cool it was that there were people that were willing to volunteer to fight those fires and try and save people and help people out when they're in need. And that always held with me.
Bill would hit his 50 years of service in 2020 and would end up retiring, but says he still misses his time with the fire department for one major reason.
I don't know how to explain it, but I miss the men. The camaraderie of drills and stuff.
Jim, though, is still going, and while he might not do everything he used to, he is still looking to help wherever he can.
As long as I can still do the things that are needed, I can help. I can run pumpers, I can haul water, I can do lots of things. I probably won't go into a burning house unless I needed to. If I needed to, I'll put an air pack on and I'll go in. I'll do everything I can until I can't anymore. That's the way it is.
At the end of the day, though, even though the celebration is for both Bill and Jim, it's really for every firefighter, both the ones that worked alongside them or the ones who don't even know who they are.
I want this celebration to be about all firefighters, all first responders, not just me. It's not just the 50 years that I put in. It's about celebrating first responders doing everything that they can to help people, and that's what we're put here for.
In Dakota, Illinois, for your home team, I'm Tyler Sorensen.
The Stillman Valley Fall Fest is wrapping up, and it was another great one. The fest began in 1937, making this the 88th annual event. It continues to grow every year. This year featured the 34th annual car show, a craft show, talent show, pickleball tournament, parade, fireworks, and so much more. It's not an easy event to bring together, says Fest Chairman Brad Hollingsworth, but seeing the benefits, including helping nonprofits and creating community connection, makes the effort more than worthwhile.
We have a lot of nonprofits come. We help Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, school events. The donations and stuff all go back to the community. Everybody in the community is it's time just to get together and talk with people that you haven't seen really, in the past year. It's a good family-friendly event.
Festival officials say that they're planning to expand the fest ahead of its 90th anniversary coming up in just a few years. Butterflies are the center of attention this weekend at the Burpee Museum. Monarch Festival wrapped up at the museum today. The fest coincides with the annual migration of monarch butterflies. The insects migrate thousands of miles all the way from as north as Canada to warmer weather in Mexico. It can take multiple months, usually beginning in mid-August. Here in Rockford, the museum gave visitors a chance to see the live butterflies, learn about their behavior, as well as how to conserve them. One museum official says giving monarchs a place to pollinate can make a big difference.
It explains kind of how you can create your own yard that would be good for pollinators, which are the butterflies, the bees here. And we have a checklist of actions that you can follow, just a lot of informational resources, some seeds you can take, and again, the QR code that you can follow along.
Millions of monarchs will then return to their summertime range with a spring migration that begins usually in late February. Food, music, and hot rods were in Belvedere today for a car show hosted at Wild Cherries. Plenty of cars showed out for the event. There was also a pig roast and music performed by the Rock Surfers. Now, classic cars are a special hobby to many. However, organizer Ken Beckler says the culture could be lost if it's not passed on to the next generation. That's why fun events like these, adds organizer and owner of Wild Cherries Lori Wagner, are so important for the car community.
Just to enjoy the day, the music, the food, the atmosphere, just to view it all. It's a beautiful day.
And to learn more about classic cars, because we really need to get the young people energized into this hobby to keep it going for future generations. So you learn a lot, you have a great time, enjoy the weather, check out the cars, it's all good.
Organizers say they plan to have another car show at Wild Cherries next year in April. The Poplar Grove Lions Club hosted its fall community market today. Over 45 local vendors from 3 different categories were involved. That includes farmers, ranchers, food producers, crafters, artisans, as well as other local businesses and nonprofits. Many successful businesses get their start at local markets, says Poplar Grove President Christy Richardson. That's why it's so important to continue to create hometown markets, because of that and the benefits of creating community and vibrant business.
We have to give our local entrepreneurs those opportunities to grow on a smaller scale to a larger scale. This is an incremental step, and if it works, then they hope that they continue in that. For example, one of the vendors that is here just moved to a trailer, and then the next thing is that maybe there's an incubator that will come, and then they can have that for seasonal placement before they make it into a co-op space or a permanent brick and mortar.
If you missed today's event and would like to support another good cause, the Belvedere North Music Boosters Turkey Trot 5K will be taking place on Saturday, November 8th to support music students at Belvedere North High School. In North Carolina, 3 people killed and at least 8 more injured after a gunman opened fire into a crowd at a Riverside bar late last night. Coming up after the break, what we know about the mass shooting.
Temperatures today made their way into the mid-80s across the board. Will be another warm day tomorrow, but as we head toward the later part of the week, we'll see a slight cool down. I'll let you know what that means for exactly those air temperatures. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
In North Carolina, 3 people killed and at least 8 more injured after a gunman opened fire into a crowd at a Riverside bar late last night. Officials say they have identified the suspect and say this appears to have been a targeted attack and that there is no further danger to the community. Here's ABC's Faith Abubi with the latest.
A quiet evening of music and drinks quickly turning to tragedy.
Evil has come ashore in Southport, North Carolina.
City officials say someone on a boat traveling on the Cape Fear River opened fire on the American Fish Company, a waterfront bar in Southport, North Carolina, about 40 minutes south of Wilmington.
The subject on the boat shooting into the building from the boat.
The suspect fleeing with the boat, authorities eventually arresting him at a boat access in nearby Oak Island.
Shortly after 10 p.m., the Coast Guard observed a single individual matching the description of the shooter. Coast Guard crews detained the suspect.
Police have identified the suspect as Nigel Edge, a resident of Oak Island.
He's been arrested and charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, 5 counts of attempted first-degree murder, and 5 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. There are additional charges pending.
Investigators say this appears to be a highly premeditated attack by a lone wolf actor, adding that many of the victims were visitors on vacation. Police say the suspect has identified himself as a combat veteran who suffers from PTSD. He's being held without bond and set to appear before a judge on Monday. Faith Abube, ABC News, Southport, North Carolina.
Well, it's been pretty consistently gorgeous in the state line for a while now, with warm, bright days and cool nights. After the break, meteorologist Jordan Wolf will join us to plan the week ahead, if warm temperatures are sticking around, and if we could see some rain. His forecast is coming up next.
Now, your first warned weather forecast from meteorologist Jordan Wolf.
What really has been a very warm second half to the month of September, and every day in the last 2 weeks has been above average, some by a pretty large margin compared to others. We had several days in the middle of the month that were well above average, and now we're seeing another reversal of that, back to that well above average trend. We've already seen 8 days this month reach at least 85 degrees in Rockford on average. Through the entire month of September, we only average 5 such days. And most of those 85-plus days have come in the second half of the month of September, which is usually when we start to see things cool down. Certainly helping to see with a lot of that sunshine showing up well with our Mercy Health SkyTrack camera overlooking downtown Rockford in the Supply Corps building. That's brought to us by Window World. There was a little bit more cloud cover than what we had yesterday, but that did not have any impact on our temperature. We still made our way into the mid-80s, and we continue to see a very clear sky across really much of the area. Even the clouds that we have over northern Illinois do not show up on satellite and radar because of just how thin they are. There is a little bit more moisture compared to where we had yesterday as a cold front was passing through. Dew point values hugging close to that 60-degree mark in a few spots in Poplar Grove at 60 and 62 in Dixon 58. Meanwhile, in Rockford, our weather watcher Terry out in Genoa reporting an air temperature of 84, a dew point of 63, northeasterly wind at about 3 miles per hour. Temperatures area-wide have still made their way into the mid-80s. As I mentioned, 84 right now in Rockford as well as in Rochelle, 82 Mount Morris, 85 out in Freeport, 82 in Janesville, and in now 81 in Monroe, Wisconsin. One thing I want to point out is you see these wind barbs trying to pull in from the east. That's actually a lake breeze. It's not going to have a significant impact on our temperature here this evening, but it will help to cool things off a little bit quicker for those out to the east compared to those out to the west, as that lake cooled air helps to bring our temperatures down. Eventually, we're making our way back down to the mid-50s area-wide, 55 here in Rockford underneath that mostly clear sky. There is once again a potential for some patches of fog that does not last into the early hours of tomorrow morning very long as we get that sunshine that returns. A mostly sunny sky, 87 for tomorrow's afternoon. Another hot and dry day ahead, likely adding on to those totals of 85-plus high temperatures here in Rockford. That easterly wind does cool things off a bit quicker tonight, back to the mid-50s. We see those numbers pushing close to that 90-degree mark, even in a few spots. I think Futurecast maybe just a little bit on the warm side, but you see not a whole lot of wind to deal with, and you can get those stronger southwesterly winds. That's where you start to see a little bit more tug in those temperatures. Another similar overnight going into the early part of Tuesday, and we likely hold on to this trend of 80s in the afternoons versus 50s in the overnights for a bit longer. A brief drop in those numbers does come the middle of the week with a little bit more cloud cover, but we're still well above average for this time of year, normally closer to that 70-degree mark, and we'll be seeing those numbers running to the low, if not mid-80s day after day. Again, we keep with that dry forecast all the way through the end of the week. I keep showing you this map, hoping that one day we'll have toward the end of it a little bit of rain, but still very dry all the way through late Friday night. Of course, that tropical rain now down to the south and the southeast continues to also decrease as that tropical storm will begin to pull out to sea over these next couple of days. Area-wide, not a lot of rain, not even any rain chances on the 7-day forecast. 87 to 84 Monday into Tuesday. A bit more cloud cover in the upper levels on Wednesday, but staying dry, 80 degrees. And we stick with those low, if not mid-80s, all the way through the end of next weekend.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Jordan. Drew's in next with sports. The Bears and Packers have big games today, and you can stick around to learn more. It's game 162 in the MLB. Stay with us to see how the Cubs and the White Sox finish their regular season.
Now sports with Drew Collins.
The Bears got their first win in the Ben Johnson era last week. Today they are in Las Vegas to face the 1-2 Raiders. This game is currently in progress, so I cannot show the highlights. In the first quarter, it was pretty messy. There were 3 total turnovers. The Raiders threw a pick and had a fumble, but managed to end the quarter leading 7-3. In the second, Kevin Byard got his second interception of the game, but the Bears settled for another field goal. And then Ashton Jeanty rushed for a 64-yard touchdown, while the Bears had less than 100 total yards in the first half. But the Bears just took back the lead in the third quarter with a Rome Odunze touchdown. They now lead at 16-14. I'll have those highlights tonight. The Green Bay Packers are preparing to face America's team in Dallas. It's a matchup where Micah Parsons gets to face his former team exactly 1 month after being traded. It was a very public breakup with owner Jerry Jones, being himself with the media, but Parsons spoke about the game and his thoughts towards QB Dak Prescott. I also want to mention the Cowboys' superstar receiver CeeDee Lamb is ruled out with an injury.
Like, once the game starts, who's going to be worried about any trade? Like, it's just me against them 5 men in front of me, you know what I mean? And then we got one common goal, and that's to win the football game. You know, there's hard feelings maybe there for them, but, you know, for me, I'm happy where I'm at, and we got a really good football team. So I guess I can give you my tribute and a win, I hope.
Let's take a quick look at the rest of the NFC North today. The Vikings played the Steelers in Ireland at 8:30 in the morning. Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers won 24-21. In the noon slate, the Lions crushed the Browns 34-10 in Detroit. The Lions are now 3-1. The Vikings are 2-2. It is game 162 of the regular season, which means that it is the regular season finale. Of course, the Cubs will host the Padres in the Wild Card Series, but let's see how they did today against the Cardinals. It was scoreless through 5, and then Seiya Suzuki homers 379 feet. And then in the 7th, Ballesteros had an RBI single. Javier Assad got the win. Jordan Wicks credited with the save. The Cubs claim win number 92. The Cubs finished the regular season with a series sweep and a 2-0 win. The White Sox season is officially over. They ended it with a win. They beat the Nationals 8-0 to finish the season with a 60-102 record. That's sports. We'll be right back.
Well, Jordan, as Drew had said, the Cubs clinched. I mean, they won today. They had already clinched, but they're going to be playing at Wrigley. You'll be there.
Yep, I'm going Tuesday.
And it's going to be a day game, so that makes it even more important for the forecast. So what are we going to be looking at, for those who are coming to see, the Cubs with you?
Late afternoon game. It's going to be another warm one, very similar to what we've been as of late. Likely out toward Wrigley Field, upper 70s, low 80s. It'll be a little bit warmer inland, so closer to us. It'll be a bit on the warmer side. Not anything too strong as far as the wind goes, so we're not looking at any wind blowing in or out. So we'll have to keep an eye on if we get any quick gusts to help push a couple extra home runs over the wall, hopefully, during the bottom half of those innings. We'll have to be on the lookout for a few of those. Locally here, we also stay dry, not only out toward Wrigley Field, but also in Rockford. First Warn Interactive Radar from Rockford Glassmore, keeping us totally dry tonight. 55, the overnight low. We'll maintain that mostly clear sky. Similar to these last several nights, we will maintain that chance for a few patches of fog going into the early hours of tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, we're back to 87 degrees. Yet another day above that 85-degree mark, a mostly sunny sky, hot and dry. Not a lot in the way of wind, but we will eventually see our patterns start to change, although likely not until we get to the end of next weekend, so warm and dry till then.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you at 10.